Hello YouTube, I'm your host Joanna and this is Tina and we want to wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day. Today we're doing a craft and Tina's little bow here will be a clue to what we're making. And you know, I put her in this bow just in case, because if anyone is going around pinching people or canines for not wearing any green, there's a little green in it. So Tina here is safe. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you what materials you'll need to do the craft. White cardstock or thick paper. If you don't have that, cardboard, you can improvise. A variety of colored paper. If you don't have that, you can decorate plain paper with markers, crayons, anything you have on hand. A glue stick is easiest, but in a pinch, school glue will work too. A plate, we'll be using this to get our round shape for the rainbow. Ruler, I think we're gonna skip the ruler because this is gonna be a little more organic shapes. Yes, girl. We're gonna skip the ruler today. We're getting wild. Hole punch will be very handy for this, but if you don't have one, as always, scissors will do too. And of course, to string everything together, yarn. Most of my yarn is in fun rainbow colors, but if you don't have that, you can use whatever you like. String, heck. If you get desperate, dental floss. All right, well, for our next step, I'm gonna show you how to make the template for the rainbow arch. For the rainbow arch template, use cardstock or thick paper, and we'll use our plate as something to trace around. Now at home, I would recommend just using a pencil to trace because this camera doesn't pick up these fine pencil lines always. I'm also going to outline with a marker so that you at home can see clearly as we go along. You probably have learned in school that rainbows have 7 colors. Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Yes. Yeah, turns out I did some practicing and it is really difficult to get 3 nice even stripes on here. If you have a PDF of a rainbow, something that you could trace, awesome, great. I do not have that, so I am just going to eyeball it a bit and draw 3 stripes. So my rainbow is going to be a little more simple. We're just going to use 3 cheery colors for it. Something interesting. You might think, as I did, that just placing the plate here, but a little bit lower, would make a nice even shape for us. Guess what? It does not. And that is where just using, I would say, just a little bit of your instinct and intuition to sketch a line. It's a nice, smooth shape that makes a nice equal distant band. And that would be the template for our first color. Then we're going to repeat that. Let's see. And remember, this is only the template, so if as you're drawing along you get a lot of messy, sketchy lines, as I'm getting right now, it's not a problem. You can just find the lines that look best, and when we cut, we'll follow those lines. So if it looks a little messy, it's just part of the process. It's no problemo. And this is how I tend to approach artwork. I'm sure that had I been paying more attention in my geometry class, I could get out a ruler and some tools and supplies and show you exactly how to make these curves and calculate them. But the truth is, I don't know how to do all of that. So what I do know is kind of using my muscle memory from drawing and just my eye to tell me what looks accurate. And I find that usually that's pretty effective. All right, so we have this lovely template which we're going to use to make our rainbow, and the rest of the steps of this process will be more simple. Really, this arc here is the more complicated part. So I will first just cut out this big arc. And what I'm going to do before I cut each of these strips out individually is I'm going to trace this big arc onto another piece of paper. Let's see if there's a way to do it so that you don't waste the whole sheet. You can always use those little scraps for something else later. I'm going to trace it. I'm just going to use this big bold blue. And I'm back. Tina's playing out in the yard. We are going to cut this arc out that I just traced, and this can be used as a backing so that the colored stripes that we have will have something nice and strong to hold them together. And you know what, while we're at it, let's cut this part out and we'll get a little pattern there as well. I made this. It's a little template for our bands of color. Because I'm just choosing 3 colors, I was looking at it. I'm gonna go, for me, with red, yellow, green, because that feels very representative of the rainbow to me. It's a tough call though. I mean, which one do you leave out? Do you leave out blue? Do you leave out purple? If you're feeling a little more ambitious than I am, you could do more colors, more of these arches, and really expand it out. But for the simplicity of this tutorial, we're gonna stick with 3 colors. And I'm gonna say my top color is going to be green. So I think you can see where this is going. Going to trace it. Boop. If you say boop, it sort of helps. I don't know why. For our next step, we're going to make clouds, and the quickest way to make that would be to fold over a piece of paper so you only have to draw the design once, and we're going to put them on either side of the rainbow. While doing this, you might want to think about how big the rainbow is to kind of keep it in proportion. You can even move the rainbow over like I'm doing to get a sense of how big the cloud should be. I'm thinking maybe something like this, and there we go. So these are my little Simpsons clouds, and as you can see, I'm just cutting through both layers at once, and that will make things a little bit quicker and easier for me. Of course, you also have the option of making each of the clouds look just a little bit different. if you'd like. So now we've created these lovely identical clouds, and while I'm sure it's tempting to just put everything together right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make all of the individual parts. We're getting close, and then we'll put it all together at once, which is always a lot of fun to see a project come together. So the next thing we'll do is some rainbow raindrops. So with the raindrops, you're going to want to have a front and back side to them and want them to look similar in size probably. So to do that, I've just folded this back and forth in an accordion fold to make it a little quicker and easier to do several of them at once. So there's my raindrop. And this is where I'm going to kind of make up for the fact that my rainbow didn't have all 8 colors. I'm going to pull some of different colors into our raindrops so we still get that beautiful variety. You can see I'm just folding the paper back and forth to make a raindrop. I think that you guys are probably getting the idea that we've got these little raindrops and they'll have a front and a back to them. We're ready to start assembling all of the pieces, and this is where your hole punch is going to come in handy, and your glue, of course. Our first step, as you may have guessed, is to put the color stripes onto our rainbow backing. Getting our glue ready, and if you wanted to be more responsible, you would put a piece of paper or something down on the table to protect it from glue. This is my artwork table, which it gets pretty messy, so I'm not too concerned about a little bit of glue on it. Now that that is coated with glue, start here, getting our green. I see I don't have it perfectly lined up. That's okay. We can trim that edge and fix that in a moment. And try maybe to, overlap a little if you can, so that you don't get any gaps between the colors and you just get a nice clean look. So here is where, if you do have a ruler handy, you might want to use that to correct any mistakes. Like here I'm seeing I need to cut a little bit of that edge off because I just didn't make that even enough. You just got to play with it a bit to find what looks best. We have this lovely Rastafarian rainbow now. Okay. And then, oh, look at that. When I turn that light out, that looks so much better. I'm sorry that you all had been suffering with less than ideal lighting. And then, as you can imagine, these are going to glue here, and we're going to punch some holes in them to have string, which is going to lead to the raindrops. So let's do the hole punches first. And you can see how I flip these around so they don't match up perfectly. That can be kind of a nice look too, give it a little variety. I think I'm going to do 3 hole punches, so in other words 3 strings of raindrops on each one, and I'm going to try to balance it out. somewhat evenly, left, right, and middle. Because with the mobile, you'll find that it is literally a balancing act where you have to figure out how to put the pieces together in such a way that the mobile doesn't tip to one side or the other. And then I'm going to glue here at the bottom to attach these. Oops, don't want to do that. Okay, let's see here. How does that look? That looks pretty good to me. Something to do if you want to make yours a little stand out a little, be a little more profesh, would be to put stripes and colors on the back here too. That way, if you hang it up, say from the ceiling, as it spins, you'll be able to see the colors on both sides, which would be very nice. Next, we want to cut some strings. I have 6 holes here, so 6 strings. And they don't need to all be the exact same length. It's kind of fun to make some longer, some shorter. Oops, sorry. I know the camera can't see too much of what I'm doing right now, but I think that you probably understand the concept of cutting a string. If you have followed along, if you've made it this far, you can cut a string. I believe in you. I'm gonna do some shorter and some longer to give it some variety. And we can always adjust that if we find later that one of them doesn't look quite right. We'll just untie it. Pretty simple. Easy as that. So you guessed it, this is where you're going to start to use your little teardrops, or raindrops rather. And I'll show you how to attach a few of these. I hear little Tina. I think she's upset because I'm not currently playing with her. She has so much energy. So you just kind of glue around the yarn. And this looks like, to me, like it might need a little bit of time to dry and seal completely because it has a tendency to want to pop out of place. So we're just going to be kind of careful as we're handling it. And you can decide for each string how many you want to put on there, what colors. You can be very systematic about it, or do like I do and just figure it out as you go along. I'm kind of pressing on either side of this, running my fingernail along there, and that helps get a good seal there with the glue. Let's do one more and then I will speed through making the rest of these so that you don't have to watch as I put together 20 of these. That would get a bit mundane, I'd imagine. I'd imagine even with social distancing that you probably have things you'd enjoy doing more than watching me use a glue gun 20 times. Glue stick, sorry. We are in the final steps. You might notice it got a little bit darker in here, and that's because it took a little bit of time to complete some of the raindrops, but check out what I did. So as we talked about, the other side, you can add color too. So I added color to both sides, and then I just made a second cloud shape for the back. And now we have this nice finished look. I have a place in my house to hang it up, And as it spins, there'll be color on both sides, which I think will be lovely. So I'll show you how we have this set up. See, we've got strips of all different lengths. You can try out different lengths, cut them shorter as you go. Can't make them longer, unfortunately. Well, I guess you could tie them together. So maybe that whole cut once, measure twice thing isn't as valid here because we can tie knots together. Ooh, speaking of knots, you see with this one, I put this raindrop real close to the top, and that's going to make it hard to tie a knot. So I might see if it's not totally glued. There we go. It just let me gently slide that down a bit. And because I fuss with it, I'm going to put a little extra glue to make sure that it will still stay in place. Now I've got some extra length there to make a knot. I think this is looking amazing. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with me for a rather long tutorial today. To be fair, I didn't realize this would take quite as long to make, but hopefully that helps keep you occupied, and I'm really pleased with the final outcome here. I am going to punch a little hole here at the top and hang it up from a hook in the ceiling. If you don't have a place like a hook or anything like that that you can hang it off of, you could also put it on the wall. You could put it over your desk, over your bed, in your kitchen, anywhere that you want just a little extra cheer. So thank you guys so much. Tina is going to be back real quick to say goodbye. Thank you for crafting with us. We'll see you tomorrow.